So as they were trying to find a new country, they kind of stopped off with Africa. A lot of people, especially a lot of African American people, think, well, 400 years of slavery, it was only that race. But if you think about it throughout history, in Europe, during the time that it was crowded, they had a lot of Caucasian or white slaves at that time too, which a lot of people might not think of. The only reason they had a lot of African slaves was because a lot of these tribes were selling their own people. If what I'm saying is true. Like I said, within this documentary, it is for the viewer to find out what's true and what's not true. Well, after they sell their own people, as I read throughout history, that is why a lot of these Africans were slaves. But when they went to this new country, as now we know as the North America, they were going to find gold. Well, I've had a feeling that not only that, but to also plow different fields as well. The kings and queens gave them loans at the time. And if you think about it, a loan today, that's what our country was founded on. Think about when the Continental Army, or should I say, think about when George Washington or Jefferson or Jackson or Hamilton, when they started buying up the Louisiana Purchase. They had to have a loan to do that. Well, at the time, as I read history, I learned that gold was the main monetary value that backed up the money itself, our monetary value, which is money. So gold was the one to back up our monetary value. If you think about it, when the founding fathers, if you want to call them that, found gold, to use that gold to print up money. Because if you think about that, printers to print up newspapers, if you think about Paul Revere, if you think about the British that was coming, who came overseas with 2 lamps, if you think about that, then kind of think about what else happened throughout that gap. Think about that war. People talk about this war, the American Revolution war that you talk about. If you think about it, could they have another agenda to it? Well, if you read in history, the ones who signed the Declaration of Independence were Freemasons. Now people will say, well, there's 2 types of Freemasons. Yes, they probably do. Bricklaying and the other Freemasons. The Knights Templar were Freemasons as well. What I learned in history was that the Freemasons were supposed to be an organization to help African Americans learn to read and write, to become citizens if you want to. How true is it is up to you to decide. Well, as you learn throughout history, that they had not only these Freemasons, but they had people who believed that they were religious. They had people that hanged other people, that had hangings, of people who were witches. A lot of people who had visions were considered witches and warlocks. A lot of children, I believe at the time, had a lot of these people killed. And because I'm assuming that if these children could get their way, they probably did have these people convinced, or should I say, have a committee convinced that these people were witches and warlocks. But it's up to you to decide.